And we are live. Hello and welcome
Hello.
to this week's great episode of Isle of the Damned, a Vampire the Dark Ages campaign set by me, the CatsMeow, and some of my lovely friends. And today you will be witnessing the very first episode of our soon-to-be chronicle. This itself is a Dark Ages campaign set on the Isle of Man, involving a bunch of vampires navigating the eternal politics of the night and trying to survive. Before we begin, we are going to do an introduction of our players. Soon, we will go to the introduction of the characters, but for now you can just kind of introduce yourself and any things you'd like to shout out or things like that. And let's start with my dear good friend, Mars.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Mars. And
That's it.
Hell
yeah.
Yeah.
Love
Alright.
going first on a first stream.
Alright, next up, Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I play Iris. We'll get to that later.
Alright, next up, Thomas. Introduce yourself for us.
My name's Thomas, and I'm here to say you might have seen me on another day. Specifically, I also play with Mark in a Pendragon game as well. But that's pretty much the only other stream project I have. Hello.
Alright. Next up, Blue. Introduce yourself for our lovely audience.
Hello, everyone. I am Blue, otherwise known as the Monologue in all of your social media places and AM3.
A 03.
Alright. And last but certainly not least, Drew, give us an introduction.
Hi, I'm Drew. That's what I.
And that's true. Alright. With that, I think we are good to begin. Let me just edit the sound a little bit, because I think the music might be a little too loud. Let's see. If you're in the chat, please let us know if the music is good. Until then, let's begin with a preamble. The Isle of Man, perched in the cold, rough waters of the Irish Sea, is a land caught in the current of power and ambition. Across the sea, to the north and west, the kings of Ireland vie for dominance over their clans, while the Scottish mainland is embroiled in its own troubles. To the south, England's throne is held by a boy king, Henry III, yet the power is still yet fragile. The Kingdom of the Isles, long a refuge for Norse Gaelic warlords, stands at the center of these storms, teetering between peace and conflict. The current year is 1229, and Ragnvald Gunderson, again, forgive my pronunciation, Norse is not my first language, a fierce and ambitious claimant to the throne of the Isle of Man and the Kingdom of the Isles, has declared war upon his half-brother, Olaf Gunderson, also known as Olaf the Black, who stands as the current king of these Grand Isles. Tensions begin to rise as both brothers prepare for battle, calling upon allies from the sundering kingdoms. Rumors spread through Peel of Scottish ships preparing to land, threatening the fragile peace this island has brokered. Yet even in these trying times for mortals, there are darker figures that pull strings behind the scenes. Those playing an ancient game that has been going on far longer than the Kingdom of the Isles have even existed. This is the story of those creatures that do battle in the night, an endless struggle for dominance and control over the small island in the Irish Sea. This is an island of bloodshed, of a grand history marred in destruction and gore, and horrific, horrific legends. This truly is an Isle of the Damned. With that, we step into our first episode. The beginning of an end. We begin our first scene with the sounds of waves crashing against the rocky shores of the city of Peel. A small but bustling port town. Narrow streets that wind fill with the sense of sea air and hearth fires. We feel as a chill wind sweeps across the island, carrying with it a whisper of change. We follow our camera as it winds through the city streets, crossing by people that sit alone, drinking and laughing, enjoying the moment of peace before an inevitable chaos that sounds itself upon the winds. We follow as we flow through the narrow roads, as if they were rivers all leading to a single destination. An isle just off the city. A small bit of land upon which a massive castle is built. This is a castle that has long since housed the king of the isle. Yet it also houses something far darker and far more ancient. The camera flows forward once again, reaching up the massive stone walls of this castle before entering into a window that opens up into a large council area, where we see a large stone table has been set out with a number of chairs that surround it. The table is rounded at one side, yet on the other side it is slightly straighter, as we see sitting at the straight end of the table a man dressed in the robes of a holy man, a familiar figure to those who call this city their home. This is the Prince of Peel, Father Collins. At this point, I'm going to ask our players one quick question. You are often members of council meetings that are called every once in a while, usually once a year, but due to recent chaoses, they have shortened to a once-a-month spectrum. At this point, I would like to know, when it comes to meetings, does your character arrive on time, early, or late? Or, alternatively, very late?
Early.
Alright, makes sense.
Yeah.
On time.
Early.
Randolph arrives psychotically early. He figures, while he trusts most of the people within the council, 2 hours more than enough time to ensure no one's planning anything.
Oliver would arrive on time, not a second late.
Okay. And did we hear from you, Blue? I might have.
On time.
Okay. In that case, we cut to a room that is already full. Except for a few chairs that sit empty. We pan ourselves. Let me just get the tokens so people can get a bit of a look at what our prince looks like. There we go. There we go.
Oh boy.
Alright. As the camera focuses in on Father Collins, we see it pan to his right. As it does, we see another figure up on this table. Rebecca, why don't you introduce to us what Iris looks like and how they would be sitting in preparation for this meeting?
Oh. Iris looks like she is about average height, say around 5'4", stick thin, 110 pounds, soaking wet, maybe. And sort of short shoulder length hair, honey blonde, with sort of tears in it, uneven cuts, and sort of pale blue eyes. Tries to have a smile on her face, but it seems forced most of the time. Dressed as modestly and professionally as possible, in what would be as close to traditional nunnery, whatever the habits of the time would look like. She would probably sit either directly in the middle or off to the side.
Alright. Good. And then with that, we would find ourselves panning right once more as we find ourselves focusing in on... Let's do Maud next. Mars, why don't you give us an introduction to what Maud looks like and how they would be sitting in this scene?
I think Maud would be probably off to the side a little bit. She's relatively stocky in build, quite tall, kind of like long, curly, kind of like auburn, nearly orange hair, like orange red. She has an array of freckles on the bits of skin that are visible. I think that she's likely wearing farmer attire. I think she's mainly just sitting off to the side, enough so that she can keep an eye on things clearly, but doesn't seem as in the middle of the conversation.
Alright. I think with that we find ourselves panning once more, as I think it would make sense that we find ourselves focusing in on Gwynedd. What do we see as, describe Gwynedd for us, how they look, how they're sitting.
Okay, so Gwyneth is about 5'10", not stocky, but not thin either. Middle aged for the time. Brown hair. He's got a very carefully sculpted goatee and eyes that are never the same color 2 days in a row. He's sitting as close to the prince as possible. I'll let you determine if it's left or right hand. And
It'll probably be to the left, I'd imagine.
he look. There you go. He always looks like there's a joke he's in on that you are not. He always looks amused, Bison.
Very nice. With that, we find ourselves panning left once more. To find... Let's do Sir Oliver. Drew, why don't you describe Sir Oliver for us and how he looks at this current moment?
Sir Oliver would be a strapping figure, roughly 6 feet, 2 inches, well built, athletic, and would be sitting very upright and straight, not uncomfortably so. Jaw would be set, though not in irritation, just paying attention to the goings-on in the meeting as everybody's getting settled in. His attention focused straight ahead of him for the moment. Clothes are fine, pretty nice material. Surcoat, undertunic, belt strapped around his waist. And unfortunately, I have not looked at the token, so I don't know what the hair and the beard look like.
Fair enough. I think he's clean shaven. I mean, you can look however you want.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I just don't know.
Yeah, but my icon does not match my actual description. But the
It's a long
vibe is
haircut.
there. The vibe is right.
All right. And then last but certainly not least, we find ourselves panning to Randolph. Thomas, why don't you describe Randolph for us and how he looks in this current moment?
Randolph is quite wiry more than he is muscled. He has unkempt brown hair just above shoulder length, and his amber eyes look around at everyone quite perceptively from behind furrowed brows. He wears a rough-spun cloak concealing the tools of his trade. And if he can get away with it, wearing armor. He may too wear a surcoat, provided, of course, he's allowed to. It allows him to get in and out of the castle with greater ease, after all. He's about 5'8", and plenty of scars decorate his face. Despite looking 27, his bearing is quite a bit older. That's not unusual for kindred, though. He has the, I suppose, bearing of a coiled spring, ready to leap into either action or out the window.
All right, then. With that, we have the introductions of our first look at our group of vampires, or Canites, I suppose is the specific term. We focus back in on the Prince, Father Collins, a figure you all recognize as the authority of this city's Canite affairs. A man who, let's say, does not necessarily have the disposition of a prince, but if rumors are to be believed, the pedigree and age to be one. Nonetheless, he is a surprisingly kind and warm figure to all, allowing this city to be a safe haven for those who seek freedom, or perhaps safety, from greater threats that live outside the walls of this land. Nonetheless, in this moment, his expression is weary. Fingers rest lightly on the table. At this point, I would like you all to start off with a roll.
Ooh.
Let's do our first roll. This one is going to be a perception and empathy. If any of you need an assist in that, let me know.
I will need an assist on
I
that.
probably.
It will say sniffing. He is not sniffing anyone.
Fair enough. To let you know how this works is you go to the dice section of your character sheet and you just set up a main dice pool. Did you say you needed
Did
help, Drew, for that? Because I can.
Yes.
Alright,
We
easy.
need to set macros at another date.
Yes. Okay. So this is perception and empathy. Standard difficulty for anyone.
Did it roll for me? I'm not sure.
It did roll for you. You got 4
Perfect.
successes.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Right.
Yeah, I have no idea how to roll. I'm sorry, everybody.
It's no problem at all.
Totally good.
Yeah.
Show you how to do so very quickly. Good to get this stuff out of the way.
Yep.
You see the section that says main dice pools? You just click add. And then you click on the attributes and ability one to set it like this. And then all you need to do is hit the roll button at the very end of it.
I do love that we've named these specific roles things that are
Indeed.
we've customized them.
Oh, cute.
There we go.
Great first roll.
Well, I think this is actually going to make a lot of sense. For most of you, specifically Maud and Gwynedd, I don't think you spend as much time with the prince to really be able to tell subtle differences and changes in his appearance or the way he acts. For you, Sir for Sir Oliver and Randolph, both of you have noticed in recent nights the prince seemingly having more of a sorrowful look on his expression. Something about him just seems heavier, slower, maybe sadder. But for both of you, those emotions are a little foreign and not quite easy to understand. However, for you, Iris, as someone that has spent quite a lot of time with the prince, he has severely slowed down. He doesn't go out as much. He doesn't do much of the personal business he used to do. And there's something about him that just seems tired. Nonetheless, the weary expression of the prince as he slowly seems to tap on the table, almost absent-mindedly, before he looks up, and a soft smile appears on his face, though it is one deeply aligned with a tired weariness that comes from one so ancient as he. Thank you all for recognizing my summons. I have an urgent report to all of you. I have been notified that war is coming to this isle. The previous king, Ragnvald, has declared open war against the current king, his brother. To do so, he has sought the aid of the Scottish kingdom. More concerningly, I have heard rumours that some of the Scottish Cainites are beginning to plot their believed conquest of our city and the land itself. From what I hear, the Prince of Edinburgh has sought the assistance of the Prince of the Baronies of Avalon. I know not whether the Lord of Light has accepted and decided to aid him in his conquest of our city. What I do know is that in a few nights, Ragnarval will land upon our shores, and with him, a number of Cainites. What is important is that we ensure that Ragnarval does not succeed in his attempted invasion. For if he does, we may find the quickened political invasion of those that wish to take this city from us. And with that, he looks to the table.
This is dire news indeed. But Mithras does not share power. What promises has the Prince of Edinburgh made him that may get them to ally on this matter? Their assets within Ragnarval's army cannot be that entrenched.
Indeed. While the Prince of Edinburgh does consider himself an ally to the Baronies of Avalon, I do not see Mithras himself taking much interest in aiding a possible rival in conquest. But it is no secret that Mithras himself has long had plans for conquest over as much of the British Isles as he can. Nonetheless, my hope is that these rumors stay simple rumors. Just a small conflict between princes. At this point, you all kind of have a reminder, as an important part of the current time is the war of princes that is currently happening all around. After the fall of Constantinople, almost all of the kindred in Europe find themselves conflicting for power, each of them attempting to build a new empire to replace that Carthage once... Not Carthage. It's the wrong place. Constantinople once stood for. In this specific instance, Mithras has long since been increasing his powers, but as of recent, he's starting to grow bolder. Nonetheless, the prince looks to you all and says, "You all have begun to grow into the true power of our kind, reaching the age in which you are no longer to be considered simple neonates. You all are true and righteous ancillae. Thus, I think it is important that all of you receive more responsibilities in keeping our city safe. Should you accept, I would like this conflict to be one that you would seek to manage.
Of course.
Of course.
Never before have I hunted a claimant king. I am certain this can be done. And so long as the conquest is more trouble than it is worth, the Cainite masters pulling the strings won't be able to justify further invasion.
Good.
When I came to this island, I pledged to you my fealty. And you shall have it, as will your city, always.
If we come together, we can accomplish anything.
Good. There are also a few other issues that need to be dealt with. There is an ongoing feud between two families of the Kine.
Oh.
Now, normally this would not be something of our concern. Aside, these are two families that are connected to important figures within our city. One is a mercantile family that is connected to one Captain Edmund Blackwood. The other is members who have been strongly connected to one Sister Morana. I would ask that you seek out these two Cainites and seek to find a way to end this dispute quickly, as I fear that these Kine problems may stem from them as the source. We have also
That's
recently...
okay.
Yes, we've also had some recent troubles with breaches of the silence.
Oh.
A creature that has been causing issues outside the city, causing the people to grow concerned. I worry that if this grows beyond mere rumor, we may find ourselves facing those that might cause us great harm. Or at the very least, make things very difficult for those within the city.
The more the silence is breached, the more problems we'll get. I'll do these things, have a look around there.
Not alone, surely.
No, never alone. He says, looking for the first time, not incredibly tense, but kind of quickly nodding his head and smiling. Always good to have allies in this.
You and I have gone together before. Volunteer.
Indeed
You
so.
have me.
And you have I. My trouble stems from who this figure might be.
Or what it
We
might
know
be.
most of them. Indeed. We know many of the faces around here, but not all, particularly those who've stayed away from the walls of the city.
I will
That's a good point.
visit Captain Blackwood. See what his concerns are, where we might be able to make an end into ending this Kine disagreement.
In which case, I will allow you all time to discuss how you wish to deal with these 3 issues. For now, there are other things that I must attend to. With that, he slowly begins to stand. However, before you do, Iris, if I might speak to you
Yes.
privately for a moment.
Of course, whatever it is that you need. We'll
With
go
that,
to him.
he walks outside the chamber, as we see the camera follow him. The door closing behind, leaving the rest of you inside, as we see the prince almost grow paler, as if the veneer he puts upon himself to appear more lifeful drains away. His true vampiric nature revealing itself far more obviously, as he looks to Iris and says, I do not think I have long.
Mustn't say such things. You're doing a wonderful job, and I'm sure you have it in you too. What can I do?
Soon enough, I will no longer be able to resist the call of torpor. The sleep of the damned pulls at me each night, and I need to ensure that I am in a safe place when it happens. For this reason, I will need to leave the city soon. But before I do so, I must make sure it is left in capable hands.
We shall have to find a replacement then.
Yes. I want you to ensure that those among the group I have formed succeed in the endeavors that have been given. That they can truly prove themselves, not just to me, but everyone within the city and without. You all need to be the bastions, to be the strength that keeps this place from falling. Because once I leave, I fear there will be many that will seek to claim control over the Isle and this city.
We will uphold your legacy, sir. You've been good and kind, and we should endeavor to retain that and keep the light on in the city.
Thank
Be
you,
a beacon
Iris.
amongst the darkness.
Thank you.
No, you don't
Do
need
not
to
know.
thank me.
I do not know how long I will be gone. It could be decades, it could be centuries. But I will make sure that I will return in time. Should it truly be needed, I will have a contact within the city that shall know where to find my resting place. They shall be my replacement as the priest of my church.
Yes. Very good. And we shall await your return with, well, bated breath. Not so much, but whatever that would be for us.
Well, I wish all of you luck.
You formed a strong group. They are all great in their individual strengths.
Oh, I know that.
All of us together, well, we can only hope to be as good as you.
I hope it will be more than enough. And truly, I am sorry for this.
You're doing more and more each day. And I see how much effort you are putting into it. You have more strength than anyone that I have ever met.
He smiles warmly and tiredly at that. God be with you, child.
And with you, my prince.
And that he nods and turns. At that moment, we cut back to the inner chamber. We see all of you sitting around the table as we see the door close, the prince and Iris leaving. And you guys are all left alone with the four of you.
If war comes to our shores, then it is indeed, as the prince says. We cannot have these diversions amongst the kine, nor can we have the Cainites divided.
No, we cannot have many things going on at once and taking our attention away from the main threat. Hopefully the kine disagreements can be put down quickly. We need to make sure that we have clear roads for the mercantile guilds to continue their business. Otherwise, it's going to be rather difficult to defend this island.
Nothing is paradoxically worse than or better for the trade of the merchants than war. Hopefully, which one was it? Was it the lady or the Edmund Blackwood? That's the one. Hopefully he proves reasonable.
I don't suspect him to, but he smiles. I look forward to the conversation. Any idea who might have a connection or a way to speak to the lady? I don't believe that I am as suited to such conversation.
Her name is Marana. Her title is Sister. I imagine Iris will have the connections if nobody else will. And worst comes to worst, any of us can pay her a visit. Among friends and allies, of course, I've known many of you for decades. Does the prince seem himself to you?
He seems fine to me.
To me as well. They feel something. Something feels off. I can't put my finger on it.
He seems weary. As if the weight of our world rests upon his shoulders.
Age is a curious malady that still affects us. His edge is dulling. He shall need his strength in times to come. If war comes, he cannot afford to be weak. I do not imagine it will be a problem. But I am glad it is not just I, even if, as it seems, it is only two.
He brought each of us together for a reason. We must trust in his leadership. He has not failed us yet.
At which point the door opens
We're more
once
than
more.
capable.
Okay.
No, we're more than capable of handling. War will come. It always does.
Always does.
With that, the door opens. Iris steps back inside.
How is Father Collins?
Oh, tired. He is. He's doing his best. But can discuss that a little bit later. For now, we should focus on other things. And she'll just like look around, make sure that we're all alone, just the five of us in the council. Or are there more people?
No, it is just the 5 of you for the time being.
Okay.
Though there are a few more chairs that are empty.
Can I sense anyone else in the room? I don't have our specs, but
If you don't have all specs, you don't see anyone.
alright. She'll look around suspiciously, kind of do a calculation in her head, and just shrug. But yes, for now. Which problem do you think we should tackle first?
The question
There are
is
enough
one.
of us.
Sorry, you go.
There are enough of us that we can go our separate ways. We handle them all at once, right? We need to go together.
Sure.
Work in groups. Said I can talk to the captain if somebody can speak with the sister. And if the rest of us can go out and deal with the outside threat, make sure our people are indeed safe. Come back together before any definite decisions are made, unless one must be made on the spur of the moment.
Right. Our main goal is, as ever, to entrust the safety of the city. And perhaps we should just make a greater effort towards that this time.
As our work
We failed in
previously
the
been
past.
subpar. I like how our minds went to the same place there.
No, but
I see what you mean.
she'll kind of look back to the door where she came out and left the prince. I just feel that it is. We shall have to be pulling our weight a bit further in the coming days.
Mm.
And it's a thing that we can possibly speak of in a more private area.
I will say part of the reason Randolph arrives psychotically early is specifically to make sure none of those chairs have any invisible people in corners. He checks them. But
Oh, yeah.
he doesn't press the issue as he says, aye, there will be more discussions to come. I find the idea of efficiency and speed to be pleasing. If we deal with all of the problems quickly, then what comes next will be easier.
Wait, so?
Good idea.
I think they will take the time that they will take. Which is, I love efficiency.
With that, I suppose I shall go and attempt to find the sister or someone who knows her.
Well, I'll go speak with the captain. We can reconvene, see where the negotiations lie.
Of course.
And should they become unhelpful, towards Peel or the Isle of Man in general, do remind them they are here at the suffrage of the prince, and should that be retracted, then other matters of coercion can be applied.
Be gentle until it is needed.
That's what you're there for.
We all have our.
You don't start with threats. Doesn't go well.
No. You have to ramp up.
Better to see where the battle lines are and proceed. Anyway, with that, he stands up. Big opportunity for us all. Good luck to each of you.
Yes.
To you.
To you as well.
Go with
With that in
blessings.
With that
You
in
as well.
mind. Sorry, I don't mean to. With that in mind, Maud, Gwynedd, I propose that we, should we be able to, we speak to the beasts of the land and sky, and then look around the outskirts for sightings of this unknown individual. We scour for them, we speak with them, and then we do what is necessary.
I think that's a good idea.
Sounds fun.
In that case, I'll see you in the fields. And then Randolph he's gonna walk off.
Right. I think in that case, we can figure out what you guys are doing. Who's doing what, and whether you're doing it as a group or doing it solo. Let's start off with the two ones that I know are relatively well defined. Iris, what are you up to?
I am going to go and look for the sister. She'll
Alright.
go to her church and start from there.
Alright, so you're on a mission to see the sister. Sir Oliver, what are you up to?
He's gonna use his clout and work through the mercantile guilds to go find Captain Blackwood and have a discussion to see what he is aware of with the kind disagreement, and also if he has any other concerns considering circumstances.
Alright. And then let's go with what the rest of y'all are up to. Let's start with Randolph. What are you doing? You're muted.
Oh, muted.
I imagine we're probably doing it as a group, right? No sense
think so.
in splitting the pack. Lone wolves, bad wolves. Pack animals.
That was my plan, but you made your dramatic exit, so I figured I'd give you that moment.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay. We'll catch up later. I just have to walk off. But
I will say, if you guys
With
do
that-
both actions in a group, it will be slower, because you have to go do the separate things and move to different parts of the city for it. If you split it, it's a lot faster.
true
Yep.
enough.
Again, one thing
With
to
that in
remember,
mind,
this isn't D&D. This is Vampire. It's okay to split the
Indeed.
party. It's not okay to
I don't
go into the
believe you.
dungeon
I
alone.
don't believe you.
Yeah.
Crap!
But what if we like hanging out with our friends?
yeah,
It's
we just like
scary.
hanging out with our friends and working together.
You guys
like,
have a job
you ever
to
heard
do.
of vampires who go it alone? Exactly.
But what if someone scary shows up?
I just did.
Indeed.
Yeah, I was about to say we're already there.
Randolph is, if possible, he is going to use his skill in animalism. He is going to leave the city with or without company, and he is going to, either with the powers of the blood or with his own legwork, speak to the beasts of the wild and see if they know what this creature that has been causing problems is or where they are.
I think in this case we're going to do a three-phase system of the night. We got beginning of the night, middle of the night, end of the night. Beginning of the night was the meeting. You guys are now in the middle of the night phase. So I want to know, are these three actions happening during this phase, or are they happening at different phases?
I am just for those three.
Yeah, just for the three.
Okay.
I'll get to the other two in a moment, but I want to
Gotcha,
understand what
gotcha.
we're going here.
This would probably be right after the meeting happens, probably at the earliest convenience.
Alright, midnight. Iris? Are you doing this
Iris
for
would
the midnight phase or the late night phase?
Middle. She would immediately go into action so as
And-
to
Yeah.
have as much time as possible.
Sounds good. And for Sir Oliver, happening immediately, or is it happening later in the night?
Immediately, with hopes of being able to catch up with Iris after the fact.
Alright, coolio. In that case, yeah. Mord, what are you doing for this middle part of the night?
Oh. I think Maud would.
Again, you can always go alongside one of these three, or you can do your own thing.
Yeah. I think she might originally touch base with Randolph, but might also use some of her powers of the blood, I think, to summon the spirit of an animal native to the area to also kind of aid her
Okay.
as well in trying to track this person down.
I assume then you're on the hunt with Randolph to find the creature in the woods.
Yeah. Might be like branching off a little bit, but
Yeah, but that makes
relatively
sense.
the same goal. Yeah.
Alright. And Gwynedd. What's Gwynedd doing this night? For the midpoint.
I'm gonna say if this is a concern that has been going around among the kind, that he is not unfamiliar with it already before this meeting. And if we are splitting up to be more effective, we'll find a nice tree circle and sort of green whistle land a little bit to find where the bad feels are coming from.
Alright.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Is this in relation to either the sister, the captain, or the beast in the woods?
Beast in the woods.
Alright. Alright then. In that case, let's start off with Sir Oliver. So, Sir Oliver, remind me, how are you going about tracking down Captain Edmund Blackwood?
Looking to the working his way through the mercantile areas to locate him, the people he knows, speaking to people and working through. Obviously, it's nighttime, so there's not going to be a ton available, but people know him. I assume that Oliver knows of him, at least.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, if you'd like,
just
we can
start
roll to
working.
see how
Yeah.
much you know of him. It would be an
That would be
intelligence politics.
Yeah.
I'll get that for you.
Thank you.
No problem. There we go. Intelligence, politics. Here we go. And this is going to be difficulty 7 in this case.
I throw willpower at it.
Absolutely.
like to.
Wait.
So you get 1 order success. Good thing you did. That's 1 success.
Yep.
Oof.
Your strengths and your weaknesses. So,
But yes. Let's make sure I get these right. Yep. All right. With 1 success, the main thing you would know about Edmund is that Edmund is a member of the Bruja clan, and in life, supposedly, he was a captain. There are rumors that he was more of a pirate, but those may or may not be true. Might just be slander. Nonetheless, Edmund has been a member of the city for quite a while, longer than you have, and has long since been one of the aides to the Prince of the City. However, in more recent years, he has kind of moved away from the political side of things. There is no... you are unsure the reason why. All that you know is that he's become a lot more distant from the prince in recent nights. Say within the past couple years. As you're asking around through your contacts, what you find is it seems Captain Edmund spends quite a bit of his time around the docks, specifically around what looks to be a pub that's open till late, catering to a lot of the sailors in the town. As this is a port city, there are quite a few ships that come through, and there are quite a few people that need a place to drink and wallow in their misery and spend their hard-earned coins. Nonetheless, as you make your way there, hearing the rumors of the captain being around, you step into one of these surprisingly bustling inns, especially for this time of night. Seeing what looks to be the captain sitting upon a corner as he watches a man stand on a small stage playing a fiddle. He just seems to be sitting at a table by himself, and he doesn't seem to have noticed you as you entered. What would you like to do from there?
Oliver would kind of look around the room. You say he's sitting at a table by himself. Are there any, like, obviously it's pretty bustling, so it's pretty full. Is it standing room only, or just most tables are full?
Most of the tables are full.
He'll make his way directly over to Captain Edmund Blackwood, offering a soft nod of his head as he tries to lock his eyes to the captain, and offers a soft smile. Good evening. Might I have a word?
The captain looks to you. His eyes narrow for a moment. And what do you want?
Well, first, may I take a seat?
He just kind of shrugs and turns his attention back to the fiddler.
Let's chair out. Sits down. Moving across from the gaze. I hear there's some rumblings coming from the kind within those that you oversee. Some issues I'm trying to see if we can't find a solution that suits you and them as well.
And how do you exactly know about that? As he seems to straighten in his chair, but his eyes are still locked on the performance.
Well, as marvelous as our city is, it's still a very small place. People talk. Prince hears it. And he narrows his eyes, saying that very quietly.
He kind of, for the first time, turns to look at you. So long as the prince knows that this isn't my doing, should be all we placed upon that sister of hers. Of his, he would say.
Understood. What is your perspective on the matter?
So what are you doing here? You simply here to question me, or is this an interrogation?
It's not an interrogation. Simply trying to figure out what exactly is wrong so that we can make it better for everyone. What affects you affects the city. But also what affects the sister does the same. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly is happening so that we might be able to find a compromise and not put ourselves all in danger.
I think at this point, we're going to have Sue Oliver do a roll. This is going to be... I would like to ask, are you attempting to manipulate him or persuade him?
Persuade.
Okay. So this will be a charisma and... and expression. And this will be standard difficulty. Ooh. That is 6 successes. I think with that, there's a tense moment as he's looking at you. His eyes narrowing. His pale skin reflecting slightly in the dim candlelight. Before he just turns away. And you feel the tension begin to fade. Look, no, it's not personal. It's just business at this point. This has to do with 2 families. The Ragnufsons and the O'Catharin. The Ragnufsons have long since been important people when it comes to the docks of the city. Old Norse heritage. Tough bastards, but good at what they do. They can be thick-headed at times, and let's just say one of them gave one of the O'Catharin a push. And let's just say the body ended up making its way back to shore a few nights later. Though no one knows exactly who did it, I'm sure it was probably one of the Ragnarssons. They've been squabbling over some recent deals to do with merchant vessels coming into the docks. Now the O'Catharan, those are one that the sister has had her hand in for quite some time. Enough that it's slowly become a pain in my ass. But nonetheless, the disagreement was over the contract of a ship. I don't know what was on the ship. I don't know what was being traded, but whatever it was, the Ragnarssons got the deal.
So they got the deal, and one of the gatherings ended up in the ocean.
Truly, I could not tell you why. It's just mortal squabbling. It should be no concern of ours.
Understandable. However, as you know, one of our greatest advantages are indeed those docks. They provide the resources we cannot get here. They also make the mercantiles money. But it's also our greatest defense. We need peace at the docks, not squabbling.
Well, you should tell her that. Oh, and I don't know if this is truly a direct order from the prince, but if you do see the sister, tell her I don't appreciate her tattling to the prince of the fucking city. It should be something she should have handled ourselves.
That's... We agree, though I'm not sure she tattled. So
Oh, I'm sure she
this is
did.
well. Nonetheless, I'm just here to make peace and make sure everybody keeps their noses clean. As I said, those docks are important. And they're going to be more important in the coming nights. I'll do what I can. Do you have any other wants out of this? What's it going to make to go for this to go away?
Truth. I don't really give a fuck what happens to the Ragnarssons. I just want to ensure that the one that she took is returned to me. She'll know what that means. And that if she continues to act like a child, then I'm willing to show her the wrath that I can put upon her. If she thinks she can be childish, then perhaps she needs to be punished. And you see he clenches his fist for a moment. Seems he's a very old school when it comes to discipline.
Yeah. There's a slight nod of further understanding. As for the Ragnarsons, who would be best for me to speak with?
Sigurd Ragnarsson. Ragnarson. He's the one that does most of the business. Man claims himself to be some sort of Viking reborn or some shit.
Understood. Well, I will pass along your messages and I'll be in touch. Please try to keep the peace in the meantime. We don't need to be squabbling like those beneath us.
Oh, I'll keep the peace. As long as me and my properties are left alone. I will not tolerate theft, nor dishonor.
That I can not only understand but agree. Keep your eyes up. There could be trouble lurking, and not from those you call enemies yet. Have a good evening. As I said, I will be in touch.
Fine. And he kind of returns back his sight to the performance. You get the feeling he's done with talking for you for the moment. Unless you wish to attempt to press him further.
No, Oliver's done speaking with him for the moment as well.
Alright.
Making a note. And he'll head out back into the night.
Okay. With that, we find our camera rising towards the moon, shining brightly above all before it pans back down to a different part of the city. Iris, how are you going about finding Sister Morana?
Well, I expect that the first place she would go would be her church. No, speaking to the other nuns.
Alright then. In that case, I would like you to make me an intelligence and theology.
Oops. Doop, doop. Boop.
3 successes. Alright. So here are basically what you would know about the Sister Morana. She is a member of the Nosferatu clan.
Right.
She is commonly one to find skulking around the abandoned nunnery just outside of the city. One that has long since been left to rot and fall apart, with many of the nuns that were there moving on to other nunneries and safer places inside of cities. Nonetheless, we see as Iris talks to a number of individuals before... Cameras have been screwed up.
I am Mars.
I am now the storyteller.
Yes.
All right. Randolph,
I'm
we
Bruno.
all get 50,000 XP.
Oh dear.
You... Oh,
There we go.
there we go. Alright. As we see Iris talking to a number of nuns, before we see an establishing shot of Iris outside the
Right.
city. Okay.
I've met Sister. Oh, I've met Sister Mirana.
You have
Not
met
that
her
the
once.
names sound familiar. Yes.
Yes.
So putting those two together.
So we see the establishing shot of Iris and the nunnery before her. The shadows large and, in this moment, almost consuming. As Iris is alone, we see the shadows twist and shake as if flowing with the wind. Or perhaps like water. Nonetheless, we watch as Iris takes a step forward and the shadows straighten and return to normal.
She will start muttering a little bit of a prayer under her breath as she continues walking.
As you make your way into the skeleton, the gutted remains of what was once a nunnery. You look around to see there are thick cobwebs, a layer of dust that fills the area. And you feel yourself not alone, despite this.
Sister Mirana.
You hear something scurrying in the darkness.
I just have a few questions to ask. It's, Sister Iris. We've met before. Long time ago.
With that, you hear a voice from behind you. Ah, sister. What brings you to my home?
Oh, well. Father Collins wished to learn some things from you, and I offered to take care of it.
Is that so? As you turn around
Quite
to see
so.
the figure, chalk white skin, pulled taut along the face. You see that she is a creature without eyelids, eyes resting in their sockets as they stare at you. They are yellow and bloodshot. Yet she still has her habit above her head, obscuring a lot of her other features that might appear more grotesque.
Yes. Yeah, yes, quite so. Do you happen to know anything about this mortal feud going on?
Mortals feud all the time, sister. Might you be a little more specific?
I believe it was the Fragnopsons.
Your eyes stare blankly at you for a few moments, before she seems to turn. Thin, bony fingers appearing from behind her cloak, gesturing for you to follow her as she makes her way deeper into the bowels of this rotting nunnery.
When she gets in front of Iris and Iris feels safe and out of her eye shot, Iris is just gonna touch her crucifix a little bit and then walk forward, following. Try to regain her composure.
As Sister Morana steps forward further into the darkness, eventually you watch as a rat scurries out from a corner, crawling its way over to her and stopping just before her feet. She looks down to it as she reaches out her hand extending unnaturally long towards the floor. She doesn't move her back at all or change her height. It just seems to come out from below this dark, waving cloak as it picks up the rat and pulls it up towards eye level. She looks at it for a moment.
Look forward.
Before she turns to you and goes, "What questions do you have on this petty rivalry between men?"
As we're trying to see who has any influences on it and how we could possibly get it to stop.
It is complicated. I'm unsure if I have enough time to describe its intricacies. At this point, I would like to ask, are you attempting to manipulate or persuade her?
Persuade.
Alright, so this will be a charisma expression.
Way.
Standard difficulty. Two successes.
Hooray!
She stops for a moment before she looks up and says, "It is between two families, Ragnolfsson and the O'Catherine. The Ragnolfsson have long since been the pawns of one Captain Blackwood. And I find the O'Catherines to be quite useful."
I see. And of course, everybody has their use.
But recently there was a contract between the two that involves something valuable.
Valuable.
Yes.
Like resources?
Oh, child, 'tis far more valuable than just resources. Nonetheless, it was a contract bought out by the Ragnolfssons through trickery and deception. And then they murdered one of the O'Catherine.
No.
Currently, what was purchased currently waits in one of the holds of the Ragnolfsson. It contains something I need.
Oh.
I wish for it to be retrieved. I have attempted to contact Blackwood, but he does not seem interested in negotiating. Perhaps you could talk to him for me. Would you be willing to do that? You watch as she leans forward, almost growing as her form straightens.
Uh, yes, of course, and anything to get this feud taken care of as quickly as possible.
Good,
Efficiency is best.
good. She leans back and returns to her human-like height.
Right. Is there anything else you could give me? Anything about Blackwood? What bind him? All right, that's fine. I can figure it out. I'm a big girl. And then Iris will take a step back. And another one.
As you-
And then when it becomes quite okay, yes.
Yeah. As you begin to take those steps back, the sister speaks up. The ship is called the Raven. You will know what it is that I want, for it bears the bird it was named for.
Right. And with a potential thought forming as to the nature of the package forming in Iris's head, she'll nod.
And as you
And
turn once more, the voice returns. And do not open it. See, the captain does not either. I will know. I always know.
of course, I wouldn't dream of it, sister. And one more tentative step, and then she'll keep going.
All right. All right. With that, we will cut to the three that leaves the city bounds. The three animal friends, as we will know them as.
Yes.
You each find yourself reaching the city limits as you turn to each other and prepare to head upon your way. Is there any last conversations you have before the three of you head off to do your separate investigations in the wilds?
My bird shall keep an eye on things from high above. Should one need urgent attention, I am certain that Rose will inform me. Failing that, and there is nothing to be found, let us reconvene here in 2 hours.
Very well.
I'll reconvene with you then.
All right, let's get to hunting.
All right. Let the hunt begin. Let's start off with Randolph. How are you going about your hunt?
That's me. The first thing I would like to do is it might not even be necessary to call upon the animals. If I can find out where this beast was sighted, I can look for its tracks, like a tracker. That's my thing. but should the trail grow cold, the beasts of the land know the beings here.
Alright then. In that case, we're going to do a roll. I think we're probably looking at a wits and animal ken, I think works out, because you're looking for tracks.
Absolutely. I imagine the specialties of wild animals probably doesn't apply.
Actually it would, in this case.
Oh, nice. In that case, let's give it a roll. I will also be spending a willpower.
Alright.
That is 3 successes, 4 if you count the specialty.
Yes. So that will be 4 successes. With 4 successes, you manage to find tracks of an animal. Or more precisely, tracks of an animal that lead to become multiple animals. They seem to be the prints recognizable as wild dogs. Creatures that are essentially have usually they are hounds that have been abandoned, sometimes hunting hounds. Nonetheless, they can be very dangerous in packs and have, in some cases, hunted livestock and, in desperate measures, humans. It's possible this might be what you're looking for. It's possible this might also be something else that is disconnected. Nonetheless, it's an odd sight.
Odd indeed. I imagine if the others are looking into it, they'll be able to see if this pack were it or not. Rose, his erstwhile raven flying above, looking down, will scan the area, but he will follow the tracks. If need be, and he finds out that this is probably, if this is within the bounds of probability, like 60%, the thing that the villagers were worried about, the raven is going to swoop down and contact his friends.
All right. I think meanwhile, we'll move ourselves over to Maud, as Maud attempts to communicate with the spirits of the land.
Indeed.
I assume in this case you are using your special discipline of Spiritus.
Yes.
I believe it's the first dot that allows you to speak to spirits. I'm not sure.
Yeah, aid from spirits. Yes, item.
Oh, wrong sheet.
I think it was. I think that's more like spending a blood point.
Aid from
Actually,
spirits.
arousing. Yeah.
The character touches an item, and the player spends a blood point and rolls manipulation plus occult. Player receives a number of bonus die equal to the to use that item.
Yep.
I believe this is probably Spiritus 2, right?
Yes, versus 2. Yeah, that's what I was referring to initially. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The summoning
Okay.
of the spirit base. Yeah.
Right. Summon the spirit beast.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she'd likely. Yeah, if an animal native to the area, I think she might pick a bat of some description.
Okay. let's find out what bats are local to the Isle of Man.
I think I looked it up.
Cute ones.
Yeah, very cute ones. Yes, I have it here. Biota of the Isle of Man. I guess quite a few. There's whiskered bat, Natura's bat. The whiskered bat looks like just a little guy.
Littlest guy.
He's just a little guy.
Just a little guy.
Just a little guy pulled forth from the umbra.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yep.
I need to double check something actually. This might be a lore thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Ooh. Oh no.
Oh no.
Your camera.
Oh.
The camera just went really glitchy. I don't know if that's just on my end or not.
I didn't
think it's
see
just
anything,
on your end.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I
I'm
didn't see
not
Oh
it.
no.
Oh.
Oh no.
What is it on my end? Oh, it's fine now.
Okay.
That's so
This
weird.
might be a lore thing. A demon
Yeah.
crawls through his screen.
Sorry, I'm a Lasombra. Sometimes tech fritzes out on me.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
So
a
yeah.
Tremere with Machine Blitz. I do it on purpose.
As you call forth to the spirits of the land, we see appearing, almost crawling its way through the ground, a small bat-like creature that seems to jump up and begin to fly, though instead of flying at a high speed away, it just seems to be flying in place. As it looks to you,
Maud looks back at it.
you feel its presence as it seems to be questioning you as to why it has been summoned.
I think Maud looks.
Oh, specifically, you need to do with me a charisma plus animal ken difficulty 7.
Yep. Yeah, let's go. All
It's
right.
actually possible
Difficult-
none of what I said happens.
Yeah, let's see.
We'll
Let's
see.
fucking go. Yeah, we'll see. All right. So it's a charisma and
Animal ken
Animal ken. Yeah.
difficulty 7.
Yeah, difficulty
Boy.
7. Alright. Difficulty 7. Alright.
Little guy! Little guy!
One success.
Yes, up to
With a 1 success.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
One turn.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it appears before you, but you can sense the connection is faded.
Yep.
You can ask it a single question if you would like.
I think Maud looks to the bat. A look of concentration on her face. Where is the best place to begin searching for what has been causing these recent disturbances?
As it looks into your eyes, you find yourself experiencing a vision. You almost seem to follow a path of flight, as if you yourself had become a bat flying through the night sky. The bat circles its way around the city of Peel before flying off slightly away from it, through the forest, curving around a number of trees before it arrives at a cave. You watch as the bat finds itself deeper and deeper until eventually it latches onto the ceiling within the cave. Looking down, to see what looks to be a mangled body and a number of strange-looking creatures feasting on it.
Can Maud... I think she's quite familiar with the lay of the land. In that vision, does she recognize roughly where that might be?
You can make a intelligence and let's see. I think this would be intelligence and hearth wisdom. I'm gonna go with.
Oh, okay. Hearth wisdom. Difficulty 6.
Difficulty 7.
7? 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Ooh.
All right. 2 successes. You're pretty sure
Yes.
you know the location of the cave, or if not, you think it would be not too difficult for you to find it. Search it out.
Alright.
After which the spirit fades, returning back to the land itself, crossing the gauntlet and returning back to its home in the strange spiritual land from whence it came. With that,
Maud.
oh god,
I was gonna say Maud would... She'd smile faintly, watching as it went.
all right. With that, we find ourselves focusing on Gwynedd. What would Gwynedd be doing?
As I said before, he's gonna find some place. Well, I'm sure he has places where the trees just speak to him in a way that is a little bit different. And he's going to find a fallen log or a stump and have a seat and take out his harp, play some music for the forest, and then I think he's going to use some sorcery to see if he can feel out where the disturbance is.
All right then. So Gwynedd is going to be using, I imagine, the first dot of your Krana.
Yes. Gwybodaisatir.
Yes. For those who are unaware, in Vampire the Dark Ages, Tremere have their own very special magic. And this is, in fact, a
Not
custom
Tremere.
version. Oh, not Tremere.
I mean, Tremere might, but Zamitzi.
This is Zamitzi.
Zamitzi, my lord.
Zamitzi. Zamitzi have their own very special magic called Koldonic sorcery. In this case, Gwynedd is using a Krana, specific to their home of origin. This is the Krana of Wales, the path of the Red Dragon. Alright. So for this first power, I'm going to check if I have it written down. I think it's there.
It's
blood
perception
sorcery?
and occult, I believe.
Yes. So do a perception and occult. I'm going to double check my rules for it, because I think I had a difficulty.
Yeah.
But I might not
Go
have.
for it.
The first dot, knowledge of the land. Perception plus occult difficulty 7.
Is there a way to add some willpower to it?
You can just
Like, if you
essentially
take a
just add a
dice roll?
success to it at the end, and you just tick down
Okay.
your temporary willpower.
Okay.
All right. So that's because you're adding a willpower, I'm guessing. So that's 3 successes.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So what tales and legends of the land do you find yourself focusing on? Are you focusing on strange creatures, or perhaps more to do with the specific rumors of the monsters that are scaring people and seem to be possibly causing some problems?
I think that he is looking for where blood has been spilled on the land in this area, and specifically by something that feels like not just wolves, what we would normally find.
Yeah. Of what you find as you focus your thoughts and your vision, you can feel the music you're playing with your heart seem to almost bend around your perception, forming an understanding as if the wind itself was whispering these stories into your ear. It is a story involving a man, a poor hunter on the Isle, one who finds himself struggling to survive. One night he makes his way deep into the forest, in search of game to hunt, far away from the prying eyes of the king. Eventually he finds a creature. A large boar with mighty tusks, the size of halberd blades, massive in scale. He goes to confront this boar, to fire upon it with his arrow as he readies his spear. But the creature is much faster than it should, charging before changing its shape into that of a man with large tusks. Almost a man part boar, at least in toothage. You watch as the large tusk digs into the throat of the hunter, causing him to fall to the ground. But as he does, red liquid spills from the mouth of the tusked man. And you watch as the story unfolds in a familiar way. A dead man reborn in death by ancient curses. An ancient sin passed from sire to child. The man awakes, believing himself some divine creature. He calls forth the powers of the blood, summoning forth hounds from many villages. You hear the voices of those crying at the loss of their faithful companions, as the man stands before these hounds, smiling before the hounds lunge. You watch as he is torn apart limb from limb as the hounds feast upon his body and blood, until he is left a mangled corpse. And the creatures, what were once simple hounds, now hunger for the blood of the Canite. With that, you come back
Oh,
to.
that's the story. Okay. I think that maybe heightened senses to make sure there's no hounds around where he's sitting right now.
I'll say there's no hounds at the
Um,
moment. You don't sense anything
okay.
approaching you.
All right. All right. And then he'll just look around for one of Randolph's birds.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. I think with that we watch through the eyes of Randolph's birds as it swoops down towards you. Before we cut away. Back to the council room. Where you all convene to discuss what you have found.
Well,
I had. Sorry, Iris. You go ahead.
oh no, it's quite all right. I'm just. Still a bit. Well, it turns out the the Ragnarsons interrupted a business deal, or and stole some cargo that seems to belong to the good sister.
that's
And
her
wishes.
version, at least.
Sure.
What did the captain say?
He said that they had rightly earned the contract, but that he wanted the sister to be passed on a message which might be able to give us some leverage in the situation. Apparently, she took something of his, maybe a person, that he holds rather dear. He might be willing to trade, though he has no caring for her. Seemed rather disdainful, actually. But it seems the story is consistent. There was a ship with an item. The Ragnarfissons ended up with the item in the ship, but also killed one of the sisters' fine acquaintances. It's a pretty bloody
Yes.
mess.
And that is what I heard as well. There was a murder involved.
Not too bloody if there's only one body. I'm expecting there to be a little more to it, but
Any needless
If-
killing is too bloody.
as you say, with this in mind, if he seemed particularly disdainful, the next logical step might be bringing them together. If you talk to them perhaps in exchange, what she has stolen for what she sought within the cargo of the Randolphsons, and Cainite matters can be handled with the Cainites. Mortal matters can be left to those beneath.
That's the
Seems
hope.
there's quite a bit of bad blood here. Perhaps we should have them come speak with all of us so that they don't put pressure on just one or two.
Yes, diplomacy is always preferred.
I am not against
Agreed.
that. However, it's going to be a hard argument. He is withdrawn from the prince and was not exactly excited to see me, though he would not elaborate as to why. Said Cainite matters should have been handled between the two of them.
Well,
and
it
seem
should have.
Well,
eager
we've
to
seen
punish.
we've seen the way they've handled it, and it's
Poorly.
Oh,
correct.
I don't disagree. That's just bringing up the attention that it's going to be a little more difficult than saying, "Well, why don't you come join us and we'll just hash it out."
Hmm.
But
Well,
we
it
as
would be
Right.
interesting if it was easy.
No, it would be very interesting. I would enjoy that quite a bit, actually.
I get the impression that most things aren't easy,
no.
at least not in the matters of talking.
However, with the pressing idea of war coming through, we need to get the docks under control. Ships
Indeed.
coming. So,
Indeed.
how about the
I'm
three of you?
I will say I am uncertain as to those two Canaanites' age or power, but I will say their maturity leaves something to be desired. As far
Well said.
as
Old. Quite old.
Hmm.
It turns out the sister was one of the first Canaanites that I met when brought into the world. She was already quite established at the time.
Really? You see probably very much the opposite glint in his eye than what you want him to have. But he catches that and he says, as for my part, I looked around the area where those sightings were to be found. Wild dogs, a pack of them, surprisingly feral and well coordinated. I did not track them back to their nests, though I could have, and indeed the night is still young.
I think I might have an answer to that.
Really?
Yes. I communicated with a spirit, one I brought to me, to ask it where the source of these recent disturbances might be. I was granted a vision of cave, one I think I should be able to track down. And as well, I saw a body being feasted on by these creatures.
The wind in the trees tells the story of man was hunting far afield and met a boar that was not a boar and became something more himself, not understanding those sires who don't wait to explain what's happening. Randolph
Yes.
knows a bit of that.
I do.
Decided he was some sort of god creature. Called all of the hounds in the area to him and lets them eat him. And now these hounds are out there looking for more.
Seems to have
So-
taken communion a bit too seriously.
There but for the grace of God go I. He seems to have taken the opposite approach I did to my first nights. That said,
Right.
if these beasts have eaten of his flesh, they are no mere wild dogs. They are ghouls, and a threat, most certainly.
Danger to all of
Indeed.
us, as well as the kind.
Hmm. What of the boar? Does it still yet live?
I saw no more than its transformation of him. No doubt it's still out there somewhere, but not necessarily here. Something to
An
keep in
illegal
mind.
sire. Indeed. An illegal
so.
siring is a matter to be looked into and something to be brought before the prince. If we can find
agree.
said boar, then we should may engage in dialogue.
Not our primary goal, but something to keep an eye out.
Aye. Once one finds the tracks, one learns that there are more beasts, or in this case, tasks to take care of.
Tusks?
Yes, we will be hunting another Cainite soon, unless he is a known figure elsewhere. Either way, I propose that we continue among our paths. Iris and Sir Oliver, you see if you can get these two to talk to one another, to exchange one precious item for another, and we three find these dogs who have developed a taste, and then we show them that they are not the mightiest beasts that walk on four legs.
Uh-huh.
Some of us walk on four legs.
That's a good point. Show them that we're
No
gonna kill them.
judgment. No judgment. You know, some of us do.
Right.
I only walk on four legs some of the time. The point is that we're gonna kill them and drink their blood.
It's
In the morning.
In the morning, I am a corpse.
Right. It's
It will
a
be-
riddle. Don't worry about it.
What's a riddle?
Don't worry about it. Explain it later. It's not important right now.
Books. Don't worry.
It's-
It's books.
We'll buy us some time with the fine in the city if the dogs are dealt with. Hopefully enough time to locate the boar and discern the facts of the matter. To
Aye.
prevent this from happening again.
He's on the back burner for now. Luckily, his child is self-disposing.
Yeah.
But yes. Shall reconvene.
And before you can finish your words, the doors to the chamber burst open as a knight clad in armor steps forward.
Good. I think Iris hides behind Maud.
He appears looking very out of breath as he kind of looks around the chamber and goes, my apologies, I was led to believe that Father Collins was here. I have a very important message for him.
Oh. I tend to see him around. He might be in his office, or if not, then I can take it to him.
Why are you in distress, knight? Report.
I come with news. The Scottish forces
All out with it.
have made landfall, and they have the ex-king with them. And with that, we're going to end the session there.
Hey! Woo!
Lovely
Hell
cliffhanger.
yeah. That was so fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love the idea of just like in Randolph's head is a list of tasks, and at the moment he's like, okay, Scottish invasion, and then the dogs, and then the mortal thing, and then the boar.
All right. and I think with that, we're going to do our quick goodbyes. Starting with... let's do the opposite order. Drew, you're up first. Say your goodbyes to the great people who are watching.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for everybody for playing. It was a pleasure. Looking forward to next time.
Oh yeah.
All right. Next up, Blue.
Thank you, friends. Hopefully, it's not the same time of day for you as it is for me. If it is, bad.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It is quite late for the Americans. Speaking of someone who is
It's
not
about
American,
time.
Thomas.
That's me. It's late for me, but that's because I've got the sleeping schedule of an 80-year-old. It's currently 9 p.m. Yes, I am Thomas, and I have been Randolph of Clan Gangrel. It's been our first session. It's a lot of fun. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, and next up, Rebecca.
Hello, or goodbye, rather. I've been, Rebecca. God, it's so late. I've been playing Iris. The La Sombra. And I'm very excited, to be finally playing this. I've been chomping at the bit to do so. And you know what?
Minute.
Honestly, we deserve to be the ones staying up late. The amount of times that like Mars in particular has gotten up extremely early for vampire scenes in other games, insane, truly. But yeah, it's been a good time. I similarly to what Thomas said earlier, I'm also in a Pendragon game, the sister game, as it were, to his and Mark's. And I'm sure Mark will tell us more about it as I pass it to him. Lovely playing. Have a good night.
Jose, next up, Mars.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hello, I'm Mars, and I played Maud of the Bloodline Aramanes. I always forget how to pronounce it.
Every time.
Yes, it was very fun playing. Oh yeah. Very fun playing with you guys, and very fun having people watching.
And last, certainly not least, myself. Hi, I'm Mark, aka the CatsMeow, and you have been watching our Vampire the Dark Ages Isle of the Damned campaign.
Hi, Lily.
Please join us next week for some fun times, some more random cats showing up. And of course, please join us for our Pendragon games that are run on Bob's channel. Bob runs a bunch of different things at Ticking Time Bob Gaming. As well, we also have a Discord where we do a lot of our operating. I'm sure the link will be put in the channel at some point. Nonetheless, it'll probably be in the description of the YouTube video, which you're probably watching. I think it's unlikely people will be watching this live considering how late it is. But nonetheless, thank you for those who have joined us. We appreciate you and your time and hope you've enjoyed us. And be sure to join us next week as we dive into the Scottish invasion as the X-King returns. And we will see how our vampires deal with that. Until then, the night is very dark and full of scary creatures. Alright. Good night, y'all.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Good
Good night.
night.
Farewell.
It's